And James, my question, I wanted to ask you, what do you think, as far as society is concerned, what's the impact of the Tea Parties yesterday? In fact, my friend Colonel Poole and I are having a big one on LJ this Saturday at 11:30. We'd love for Vanity Fair to cover it, and C-SPAN, Susan. What do you think of the impact of the Tea Parties are? There are a lot of people like myself, and I think millions of others, who are upset with all the government spending, and we like to have a Boston Tea Party like they had a few years ago to do something about this spending, because I'm worried about the future for my 6 grandchildren, how they're going to pay the debts, and how they can make a living with all this government spending.
I'm afraid I don't think the Tea Parties are going to have any effect whatsoever. I think they were mostly a bust yesterday. I think because I spent the day jumping from channel to channel and checking on the internet and seeing how it was going. And the biggest rallies that I saw on TV were the ones featuring Fox News hosts. And so, frankly, I don't know if it was a Tea Party or if it was a Glenn Beck rally. And the same thing with the Neil Cavuto's rally in Sacramento. That's where they had the biggest crowds. The other crowds, frankly, it looked like a kind of ad hoc photo op. You had a lot of people holding up signs for the cameras. There didn't seem to be any real organization. You know, the conservatives like to mock MoveOn.org and other organizations, but there's a reason that organizational efforts work, because for one thing they provide follow-through and continuity. And what I saw yesterday, I thought, this is not going to strike fear in anybody. And I noticed today, before I went out the door, I was looking at the newspapers. I get 4 newspapers delivered each day, and there was very little coverage. I mean, the Daily News put it, I think, on page 10 at the bottom of the page, because the big news in New York is, well, we have a new archbishop and Yankee Stadium is opening this week. But I don't think the Tea Parties are really going to catch fire.
Let me show you. We have the opportunity not just to get the national newspapers, but through the help of the museum, we get morning newspapers from around the country. Let me just do a quick run through and show you what the Tea Parties look like from local papers. Miami Herald front page coverage with a photograph, Tax Day Tussle. The Detroit Free Press, as you can imagine, they're consumed with the discussion of Chrysler and the auto bailout. Anchorage, Alaska, boiling mad about taxes. Colonial resistance evoked as Obama stimulus and bailouts planned. It's front page in Atlanta for the Journal-Constitution. Protesters take U.S. to task for spending. Also front page in the Los Angeles Times. A Tea Party tempest. Conservative-led tax on taxes carry a risk for Republicans. New Hampshire, the union leader, maybe not surprising there, teed off over taxes with a color photograph on the front page. Houston, also front page with a photograph. And Columbia, South Carolina, front page with a photograph. Does that change your view at all?
No. And I'll tell you why, and I said this on the blog. When we had the pro-immigration rallies 3 years ago, they drew hundreds of thousands of people into Midtown of different cities. I mean, hundreds of thousands. What I saw on television, the biggest rallies had maybe 5,000 to 7,000. The rallies in smaller cities were drawing maybe 2,000. That is not going to be the basis of a movement. That's not going to be a burgeoning movement. And the other thing that I think is really odd is that when I saw interviewers yesterday, they were talking to people. They were saying, there's a lot of rage in the country. There's a lot of anger. But when they actually talked to people, they were mostly just miffed. I mean, admittedly, I have a high threshold for anger, but I remember the 60s when there was real rage and anger, and more recently during the Iraq War. I don't see how this can be. I don't see how they platformed this on April 15th into something bigger, because I don't see what the program is. They don't like their taxes being high, but there's no other part of the program.
Well, thank you. What an honor to be here. What a turnout. And I'll tell you, when I go back to Washington next week, I'm going to tell them what I saw here today. I'm going to take your message back to D.C. And I don't know how many people are here right now, but there are people still walking a mile away, either direction, coming to this, to join you here today, to send this to Nancy Pelosi and Barack Obama in Washington, D.C., that you're fed up. You're not going to take this anymore. That you're sick of it. That you're sick of this. You know what? We are spending too much. We are taxing too much. We are borrowing too much in Washington, D.C. And it's an outrage. It's an outrage. And they duped me once. They'll never dupe me again. By God, I'm not going to support any more of these stimuluses. We shouldn't do it. The last one was sold as a jobs bill. Only out of that $800 billion, only 7% of it went to jobs and transportation infrastructure. The rest of it went to pork barrel projects. That's wrong. And when I go back next week, they're going to want to propose a tax on carbon. They want to generate $646 billion. It costs every person in Oklahoma $3,100 a year to heat and cool your home and fill up your car. Now that's not a way to stimulate the economy. We aren't going to tax our way out of this. You know, I was so glad to hear my friend Neil Bortz talking about the fair tax, which I'm a proud co-sponsor of. And by gosh, because of you here today, we will accomplish that goal sooner than later because of you. We're going to get it done. And we need it desperately. You know what? You wouldn't have had to fill out a form or send it in today or before. We just have a fair tax, sales tax. And one thing we have to do, and it's going to be a great day, when we have a constitutional amendment to get rid of the income tax. Because that's what we have to do. And we'll make sure that we don't get a lot of exemptions, keep the rate low, it'll be fair. You know, it'll get that underground economy. We're going to make sure that people pay their fair share. But you know what? It's the right thing to do. It's going to take the power out of Washington and give it to the people where it belongs. I want to tell you, I couldn't be more proud today to see you here. And when I go back, I'm going to tell Nancy Pelosi firsthand on the House floor, I'm going to tell Barack Obama, enough's enough. We're spending too much, we're taxing too much, we're borrowing too much. The American people want their country back, and they're going to get it back now. Thank you very much. God bless America. God bless Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Let me ask you, why are you here today protesting the government?
Because I love my country, and I want the Constitution upheld.
Do you feel that our government has been overthrown by socialists and Marxists?
Yes, I do.
Can you give me a little more on that? How do you feel about that happening here in America?
Then if that happens, we will become like Russia, or we will become like Germany, and like a Hitler taking over our country. We are under attack, and I have prayed that our founding fathers will stand up, and the founding fathers are standing up. I see it everywhere. God bless America.
Thank you. I would like to ask you today, sir, why are you here at this rally?
I'm tired of taxes. I'm tired of having to control spending by our current administration.
Why else are you here?
That's it.
How about the protest of socialism that's coming in this country? And the Marxism?
Yeah.
I understand it, sir. You hate it.
I can tell it, big man.
I like your taxes.
Thank you.
Here's a joker. Who out here is mad as hell? What do we want today? Freedom! What do we do not want? Socialism! What are we going to do about it? We're going to protest! To the hooligans in Washington, D.C. that is taking into account to all